Okay guys, today we're going to be working on an Xbox One controller. What we have here is I have a 3-year-old. These buttons got really sticky and we're going to clean them. Some people would say just put some alcohol around here and press the buttons, and, and go from there. There's a little more involved way. We're going to take this thing apart and we're going to scrub it with some isopropyl alcohol. And so we'll need cotton balls, paper towels, things like that. Also need a pry tool and some tools. I'm going to be using an iFixit toolkit today. It has a bunch of different bits. So let's just get back. Let's get into it. So the first thing you want to do, make sure your controller's off. Go ahead and take the battery out. So there you go. So you got no power. Good, good, good. Next thing, we're going to take these two sides off. Now, what I'll do is I'll depress this trigger, kind of go in there with the pry tool, and just kind of pull. It pops off. There's some pins and whatnot. That's about that. Let's do this other side. All right, so once we got these sides off, there's some screws in this. There's one here, and one here, one here, one here, and one here on each side. And then there's one screw under here. I've kind of pre-peeled this a little bit because, there's a sticker here. You can peel it back, or if you wanted to, you can kind of just cut that around it if it's in there. But I like to peel it back so I can put it back when I'm done. Now these are, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is a torque bit, a little star bit that I got out of there. I believe it's a number 2 in that iFixit kit. So we're just going to go ahead and put it in here and just undo these. Let's get these out. We'll finally get this middle piece. All right, so now we got all 5 of our screws out. We can go ahead, we can take this top off, and so we can clean this up. Also too, if you wanted to, decorate this controller, paint it, I mean, this would be a good time to sand it up, paint it, do whatever you wanted. We'll get that out of the way. Next we will take, it's popping out a little, this back shell off. Now this kind of come off like that. Be careful with your wires flopping around a little bit. So we'll set that down. This is when we can pop off these sticks. They just slide right off. All right, so next, you're going to kind of see there's a couple of little tabs right here. We're going to take our pry tool and we're going to kind of get under there. So what we're going to want to do here is get that bumper off. That came off a little bit there. So yeah, there's your bumper. We got that off. While you're here, you want to look. You have your little sync button. You want to set that off this side. You don't want to lose it. And all right, then we're going to flip this bad boy over. As you can see, we're starting to get down to, it's starting to look a little fugly. So we'll flip it over. All right, so after you got this apart, right here and right here are 2 little itty bitty screws. So you'll switch bits. I believe this is a T6 bit. And we will get these out. This might be a little more involved than you guys wanted, but we're gonna get this good and clean. It's gonna be like brand new. So then after that, you're just gonna press up. It's gonna be a little stiff. You'll be able to kind of pop this up. There we go. These things. So you've got your audio jack here. It's kind of funny. This just kind of sits in there. Sits right in that little section right there. So we'll set that off to the side. We don't want to lose that. All right, so once you have this popped up, you can kind of just set it like that, kind of in the middle. There's going to be 6 more screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So they're in there. It's going to be the same little bitty bit that we just used. So we're going to go ahead and get those out of there. All right, so once you have those out, you can go ahead and lift this board. You can lift this board out of here. That'll just kind of, just be careful. It'll come right out. And if you go on the other side here, you can see that there's this. This is, this is where your buttons land. I mean, you can kind of smushy, spongy, whatever. You can take that off and clean it also, whatever you need to do. But anyways, we're going to pop these buttons out now. So you can see your buttons here. I'm going to pop them out. They're going to have tabs on them. Don't know if you can see those on the side here. There's little tabs there. They're going to only fit in there pretty much one way. So let's go ahead and dump them out. So now that they're out, we'll go ahead and clean these bad boys up. Pretty neat. You can do all this, take this apart, learn to do this. I'm not an expert here, but it's kind of cool, as I'm learning to do things and sharing it with you guys. And like I said, it's a good time. So I put some alcohol in here. We're just going to just go around and clean up our buttons. Now, if I had a cotton swab, this would be easier, but unfortunately right now I don't have any. So I'm just kind of doing this. You could also take a paper towel and do a lot of the same thing. This might actually be a little bit better than that. Let's go and scrub these up. All right, so next here is probably, in my opinion, the important part, especially if you know which buttons have been sticking. And this is why I'd recommend a cotton swab. I'm just gonna cheat a little bit, but you wanna make sure you get in these holes. Just get in there, swirl your stuff around. Just wanna make sure you get in there and clean those holes. This is where I like doing this better than just trying to dump alcohol in there, because when you do it this way and get in there and kind of just clean it, you actually like cleaning it. And this controller is going to be like new. And the great thing about the alcohol is it'll kind of it'll dissipate, pretty quick, and you're not going to have to worry about moisture in the controller. It's just going to be a good time. All right, so I'll flip this bugger over. And what's cool is, like I said, there's tabs on these. So once you got that all cleaned up, you'll be able to drop these in. You don't have to worry about them, being in the wrong slots, because, like I said, they are slotted specifically. So I just gotta find the ones that go into. All right, once you got those in there, what I'd recommend next is, you have this rubber piece that I was showing you before. I'm gonna actually put these over this because I don't want the buttons to fall out. And I wanna make sure, and that'll fit in there just like that. So now we can put our circuit board back. Gently get it in there. It'll fit right in. Now we can put our 6 screws back in. All right, so after you get those 6 screws in, this is where you're gonna be at. Got to remember that you had your audio jack. Now it's going to have these prongs that you'll be able to see here. So you want to make sure those prongs are up, and you're going to want to sit this just kind of, it really just kind of sits in there. It's kind of crazy what it does. So once that's in there, carefully pick your board up over it. And that should slide in there. And then just kind of clip into place. Let's see, does it clip? I don't think it does. Oh, maybe. There's a little snap. So anyways, it'll kind of pop into place there. And then once that's in, you can reinsert your screws. You remember you had one screw here behind this motor and one behind this motor. So let's get those in there. All right, so now that that's back together, we can flip this over. And we're gonna look at putting our bumper back on. So one of the things I'm gonna say first is you're gonna wanna make sure you get your sync switch, and you're gonna wanna put it back in there. You're gonna wanna make sure it this one's kinda wonky. I don't like how that switch sits in there on this one. There's a couple different versions of the controller, but you wanna make sure it kinda presses. Over here we can test these out. These are so much nicer now. Like, it's like a brand new controller. It's like, dang. So with this, to make it a little bit easier, this comes apart. So here's this piece, and here's your bumpers. So we can kind of line our bumpers up first on there. All right, so like I said, we got the bumper part in two pieces. This makes it a little bit easier to put back in, because what you're gonna see is right here, I don't know how well you can see that, right there is the buttons for your bumpers. And your bumper actually has these little things that when you click it, it hits that. So what you're gonna wanna do is kind of get your bumper so it slides into those little slots if this is a style controller you have. And then, like I said, if you hold this here, you can kind of see where that goes. While we're here, this slips on pretty easy. There's these little white pieces on this particular controller that I have, and they popped out and wanted to go back in. So I want to kind of just pop them back in there. I don't know how critical they are to what's going on here, but I'm just gonna get them back in there. I think that they're just, what it looks like is they're just kind of support, so that you're not beating it up and bending it when you're smashing that. So I got those in. You can see them there, little white pieces. We got our bumpers on. I'm gonna put the clip on. Let's go ahead and get this on here. This will kind of just slip over that. There we go, I think. Let's kind of snap that in. That press is good. We're good there, we're good there. Our buttons are good. So when you're putting this piece on, I'd come up from the bottom here, and kind of twist it up so it goes on and it'll snap into place. All right, so after you have that on, like I said, just double check this button and definitely check the sync button here. Make sure it presses correctly, and then we're ready to put the back plate on. Now, one of the things with the back plate that you want to watch out for is you want to make sure these two prongs for the batteries actually pass through this. So that's going to be pretty big deal. Let's try to be patient with this whole process as far as getting everything to slip back into place. You don't want to force it. Like I said, the important thing is to make sure those pieces kind of get in there. Now, something I found that works really well when doing this just now is depress the triggers. If you press those triggers in, you're gonna be able to kind of slide that right in there a lot easier. Get that in there. Like I said, depress triggers, press, boom. So now, get a quick test. All right. So now that we got that the back in, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put our thumbsticks back on. And they just kind of plug back in there. A quick test, working pretty good. We'll put our front plate back on. So we can, while we're here, just a quick test. Man, that feels like a brand new controller. So I'll flip it back over, and we're gonna go ahead and put our screws back in. Screw this bad boy back together. All right, so we got the 2 in on each side. We'll put this 5th one in last. Why? Because that's the way I did it. Once that's in, we can take this sticky part and just kind of rub it back in there. Looks like brand new-ish. Next, we're going to clip these back in. They snap right in. Plop my battery in. Everything looks good. We've got our ports that we can see are in good shape. We have the charging port in the front. This button's working good, so is that. All these are like brand new. So, folks, I hope this helped you. Like and subscribe, support the channel, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.